Hello and welcome to Tommy Talks TV. I have one singular goal with this show, and that is to help you make smarter decisions so that you can have better relationships. I'd like to start as usual by saying a very big thank you. Thank you for all your likes and your shares and your comments on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. I really appreciate you because they're helping us spread the message further faster. So thank you very much indeed. Now, before I start, I just want to take a moment to say a very big thank you to all of you who sent me birthday wishes over the past week or so. So if you follow me on social media, you probably know that I turned 50 last week. Yay! It's absolutely amazing. To be honest, I don't feel like I'm 50, but I'm so excited about what the future holds. And I'm so grateful to God for his faithfulness and his mercy over my life, in the last 50 years. This year has actually been a year of landmarks for me because I had my 25th wedding anniversary in January and then my 50th birthday in February. But I just really am so grateful to God for all that he has done, for all his faithfulness and his love. I'm so grateful for my amazing family, for my amazing husband and my beautiful daughters, and for everything that they did to make my day absolutely amazing. I thank God for all my friends and family and everyone that reached out one way or the other. And I thank God for you as well, my wonderful audience, because you're the ones that give me, that desire to continue to pursue after, what God has called me to do and to keep doing this, because of, the way that you respond to what God is speaking concerning your relationship and concerning your marriage. So I thank you so much because, what you do is what keeps me going in what I do. An absolute privilege and honor to continue to speak into your relationships and into your marriage. So today I'm going to be taking another one of the questions that have come through from my viewers. And this one says, for a while now, I have been following your teachings and advice about making the right choice of a partner and growing our spiritual lives in line with our marriage. And I can say that your teachings are wonderful, straightforward, and easy to digest. I would appreciate it if you could help with some possible questions to ask someone who you would like to get married to, someone who is you're courting or someone who you are dating. Right, so that's an excellent question. Thank you very much indeed. And what I would like to do is to make this sort of like a two-part series. So today I will talk about things that I think you should talk about when you're just getting to know someone and you want to explore their thinking to see whether there is potential for the relationship at all. And then the second part of the series, which I will share next week, will be about things to talk about when you are definitely heading towards marriage. So in other words, when there's been a proposal and you're both working towards getting married, you're working on the understanding that you'll be getting married, so that at that stage you can afford to go into deeper issues which would be inappropriate for you to talk about when you're just getting to know someone. So that's how I'm going to split it up. So today I'm going to be talking about 6 things you should be talking about, and then next week I'll be talking about 6 further things that you should be talking about in your relationship. So let's start off right away. The very first one I'd like to talk about is spiritual convictions, because in my view, talking about your relationship with God is the biggest deciding factor in whether someone is a marriage prospect or not. And the reason why I say this is because, as I teach on relationships from a distinctly Christian perspective, and the Bible is quite clear about matching yourself up with someone who shares your spiritual convictions. So there's a scripture that makes this all quite clear in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, from verse 14 to verse 15. I read it from the Message translation of the Bible. It says, "Don't become partners with those who reject God. How can you make a relationship out of right and wrong? That's not partnership, that's war." And then it goes on to say, "Is light best friends with darkness? Does Christ go strolling with the devil? Do trust and mistrust hold hands?" I mean, I think this scripture says it all. It says, we cannot partner up as Christians with people who reject God, or people, who don't have a pursuit after God or the things of God, because it says that will not end up in a partnership. That simply ends up in a war, because they are coming from 2 opposing perspectives. So I think that's really crucial. When you read the Passion translation of that scripture, it talks talks about mismatched alliances. So, making an alliance with someone with whom you are mismatched. So it's really, really crucial that you take time to explore this issue of your spiritual convictions with anybody that you enter into a relationship. So, what you're trying to explore here is, what is that person's relationship with God like? Notice I didn't say what is their religion, because a person may accept Christianity as their religion, but then it may not be a lived reality for them. And that is really, really crucial to understand. So your aim is to discover whether their life is controlled and regulated by their relationship with God, or do they just pay, lip service to the things of God, but their lifestyle says something completely different. So you want to explore their spiritual values, because that will determine how they will relate to you. It will determine how they treat you. It will determine their attitude to being faithful to you, and whether they will think it's okay to lie to you or to cheat on you or things like that. So spiritual convictions matter. They matter a great deal. And you may also want, to explore how they express their Christian faith, which is where the issue of denomination comes in. I get a lot of mail around this from people who say, well, my church is this or that, and I'm not comfortable with his church or her church. Should I end the relationship because of that? The truth is this: that's a question that no one can answer for you. I can't answer that question for you. You will need to prayerfully consider whether you can adapt yourself to a different expression of Christian faith from one that you have been used to. So, would you be prepared to change church if necessary? And this becomes even more important when you start thinking about how your children will be raised. But one thing that I will say is this: there are no denominations in heaven. That may come as a surprise to some of us, but there are no denominations in heaven. So your preferred church will not have a segregated section in heaven. So we need to be careful about the things that we allow to divide us. The central thing for me is this: does this person have a living, breathing relationship with God? And, does that relationship with God have Jesus at the center? Do they have Jesus at the center of their life? And are they living out that relationship on a day-to-day basis? For me, that's the most critical issue that you need to explore when you're talking about spiritual convictions. So the second point that I'd like to consider is core values, talking about your core values. And this is core values as individuals. What matters to you as an individual? Because ensuring that your values are aligned goes a long way to eliminate the avoidable conflict that could happen later in life. So you want to ensure that you value similar things as individuals. You may have certain things that interests that are different, but when it comes to core values, things that are central to you, those core values should be aligned if you are going to have a successful relationship and marriage. So, generally our values flow from a mixture of our spiritual convictions, our upbringing, our culture, and then our temperament as well plays into this. So sometimes, values are not necessarily about, what is right or what is wrong. Sometimes it is about right or wrong, but at other times it's more about, what do I think is right for me? What matters to me? So, there are all sorts of, core values that people really hold dear, things that are really important to them. So, for instance, for some people, generosity is a core value. They love to give, they live to give, and if someone who is extremely generous, gets into a relationship with someone whose core values are, quite different, and, they see generosity from a different perspective, that could create some issues in the future. For other people, justice, is a core value for them. They want to see justice in this world. They want to pursue justice, and it's something that they're constantly looking out for, seeking justice for other people. For other people, hard work is a core value for them. They can't tolerate people who are not, really, really driven and focused about whatever it is they're pursuing in life. For other people, health is a core value. So it matters to them, what they eat, and the fact that they exercise. But for other people, maybe they're a little less concerned. If health is a core value and, they get married to someone for whom health is not a core value, then there could be potential for conflict there. Another example might be Adventure. So some people, adventure really matters to them. They want to explore the world, they want to travel around the world, they want to learn new things, see new things, have different experiences. But then for other people, security is more of a core value for them. So they prefer a more like stable existence. They like routines and all of that. So then it's a question of, if adventure is a core value for you and security is a core value for the other person, how do you make that work together? And there are lots of other examples, of core values that people have. Learning could be a core value. Kindness could be a core value. Reliability, loyalty, commitment, open-mindedness, success could be a core value. So essentially what I'm saying is this: take time to explore each other's core values and find out whether they are aligned or not. Then the third one I'd like to touch on is dreams and goals. This one is really, really crucial. So think about it. How do you see your life in the future? What are your career goals? Do you want to run a business? Do you want to further your education? Do you feel you have a call to ministry? Do you want to go into politics? Do you see yourself relocating to a different country, at some point in time? And what about them? What are their hopes? What are their dreams? What are their aspirations? Because the reason why this is important is that, marriage is about teamwork. So you will need to know whether you can support each other to become the best that you can possibly be in life. You need to know whether you'll be prepared to support each other in the goals that you want to pursue in this life. So, the truth is this: you should be your spouse's greatest cheerleader, and they should be your greatest cheerleader as well. So you need to be sure that there will be no goal conflict, because if maybe you have a goal that you want to pursue. For instance, give an example. If your goal is to serve God as a missionary in a rural area, for instance, and that's something that God has really placed on your heart, and you feel this is something that you need to do, then you need to consider that if their goal is to live in a big city and pursue a corporate career, then you've already got goal conflict there, and that relationship might not work. So that's why it's important for you to explore these things. Your goals need to be aligned. Like I always say to people, if you're heading to Australia and the person is heading to Austria, the names sound similar, but they're two different destinations. So if you hitch your wagon to someone who is going to Australia and you're going to Austria, one of three things is going to happen. Either you will both end up in Australia, or you both end up in Austria, or you both end up somewhere completely different. That's the thing, if you're going to take that journey together. So you must be sure that your dreams and your goals kind of align. So it's important for you to talk about these things, explore it, as you're getting to know the person. How do they see their future? And, are you likely to be able to fit into that future? And, how do they see what you see as your future as well? And can they see themselves fitting into that? So that's really crucial to explore. The fourth one is personalities. So what kind of person are they? What is their temperament? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What are they predisposed to? How self-aware are they? And do they understand themselves? Because, it's important for a person to be able to understand themselves, to be self-aware, because they will need to be able to articulate and interpret their needs to you. So if they don't understand themselves, then, how are they going to help you understand them? That's a crucial question. So, that's one of the important aspects of building a relationship. It's about exploring your personalities, and thinking about how are your personalities going to mesh. If you do decide to get married, how will they work together? Because you see, the Bible says that two are better than one, but it has to be the right two, because not all two things, all good things go together. Well, I like ice cream, and I like chicken chow mein, for instance. The two don't go together in the same bowl. They taste very delicious, but they taste delicious separately. So what I'm saying is this: you have a certain personality. There's a way you express yourself in life, and they're quite different as well. But will the two of you be better together than if you were apart? And those are things that you need to talk about and explore in the relationship. The next one is family backgrounds. So you can learn a lot by talking about the relationships that have shaped the person that you are talking to. Think about that for a minute. When you think of, talk about the relationships that have shaped them into who they are, and the most important relationships that would have influenced them are actually their family relationships. And that's something that is crucial for you to think about. So, did they have a pleasant upbringing, or did they have a difficult upbringing? What are their current relationships with their parents and siblings like? If they're estranged from their family, means that they're disconnected from their family. Maybe they don't get on well with their family at all. That's a potential warning signal. If they have complete breakdown in the relationship with their family, so you need to explore all those things and see, because the truth is this: that family background that they're coming from has shaped them into who they are. And if they have hurts from that background, then they will bring those hurts into the marriage if their hurts have not been healed. So you need to be able to explore that. And also, if they've had positive experiences as well, they will bring that into the relationship as well. So you need to explore all of that. And that's not to say, well, if somebody has had negative experiences in their family, then it doesn't mean that they're a good marriage prospect. But you need to understand all those things and understand what they're bringing into the relationship, just like they need to understand what you're bringing into the relationship. So that's crucial. And then you also want to know what sort of family you will be marrying into, because without a doubt, that will influence the quality of your married life. So, talking about the family also sets you up for successful relationships with their family in the future, because, if you talk about that quite a bit, then you already have an idea about who is who, people's likes and dislikes within the family, how best to relate to them, how best to fit into the family, how to approach them when you are introduced into the family, and that's really, really important, so that you can build strong relationships with their family for the future. So that's important for you to explore. Do they have a healthy sense of self, so that they can make their own decisions and still maintain healthy family relationships? That's crucial. Or do they have dependent relationships with their parents, for instance, that could become a problem later? Because if someone is, well, to all intents and purposes, an adult, but then they can't make their own decisions without referring to their mother or referring to their father or their sister or their brother, then that could create problems in a marriage. So those are things you need to watch out for and pick out through your discussions with them. The next one is their perspectives of marriage. That's number 6, their perspectives of marriage. So what are their thoughts around marriage and their readiness for it? Because for some people, marriage is not a goal now or even in the future. Some people have no interest in marriage whatsoever. Maybe they have other life pursuits which for them are a higher priority. The Apostle Paul, he was single, and he promoted singleness for the sake of the kingdom. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. However, you need to be able to discern that if marriage is a goal for you, because there is no point in wasting your life with someone who has no plans whatsoever for marriage, whereas you are interested in marriage. So you need to be able to explore that in conversation. I'm not saying start bombarding them with questions, but you can draw them draw them out and draw that information out of them. Some people want to focus on their career in the immediate future, for instance, and maybe you are interested in marriage in the next year or two. Then you need to be able to gauge that from your discussions with them. And then also, there's a question about how do they view marriage. Even if they do want to get married, how do they view marriage? Because, as I said earlier, some people may have had bad experiences with marriages around them, and because of that they are afraid of marriage, simply because of what they have seen or what they've experienced. Or they may have trust issues because of past experiences. Others may have had great role models and they're looking to recreate that in their marriage. So it's useful to be able to explore all those issues and be able to see. You need to be able to assess a person's attitude towards marriage and also their readiness for marriage, and that's really important. Now, let me say that you will need to be able to judge at what stage it is appropriate for you to bring up certain things, at what stage it is appropriate to talk about certain things. The key, I think, to an insightful relationship, and that's really the purpose of relating to people in a dating relationship, in courtship, is to gain insights. That's what it's all about. Whatever you choose to call it, it's about gaining insight. And the key to an insightful relationship is to interview the person without them knowing that they're being interviewed, because ultimately you want to see, are they up to the job? and they should be interviewing you as well without you knowing that you're being interviewed. So the way you go about asking these questions or having these discussions is really crucial. So I'm not saying jump into the maybe the first time you actually sit down to talk with this person and you're bombarding them with questions and all that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this: draw them out on all these 6 points that I've raised, and have conversations around them rather than talking about, things that are completely unimportant. Focus on these things because it's crucial. It's amazing to me that, sometimes I'm counseling couples who are about to get married, and then, ask them the question, have you talked about this or have you talked about that? And, most of the things that are going to be crucial to their future, they have not even discussed. That is a setup for disaster in the future. So it's really, really important that you ask the right questions and you have the right conversations before you actually get married to someone, so that you set yourselves up for success. Well, I hope this has helped you. Next week, I'll be talking about the next 6 things that you should be talking about in a relationship, so don't miss that. And if you've got a question you would like me to answer, then head on over to tommytalks.com/ask and I'll answer your question next time. See you next time. Bye bye.